Good afternoon, and welcome to AIADA's AutoTalk. I'm your host, Rachel Soleimani. For our new listeners, before I introduce today's presenter, a few quick notes. Everyone that is registered for today's program will receive a copy by the end of next week. And if you have any questions, feel free to enter them into the lower right side of your interface under the Q&A bar. Today, we welcome Mary Mahoney, Vice President, Replacement and Leisure Division at Enterprise. This is Enterprise's 20th year as an AIADA affinity partner, and I think this is an exciting start to a milestone year. So Mary, take it away.
Hello and welcome to our Auto Talk session, everyone. Maximize your mobility solutions to improve your bottom line. Whoa, this is something we all want, right? I'm Mary Mahoney, and I'm so excited to be with you, all of you here today. Even though I can't see you or I can't hear you, I know you're out there. So thank you for joining us today. So our goal here is to share some thoughts on how you can best identify opportunities to maximize your dealership's cost savings and productivity. And we all need that now more than ever before as we continue to operate in this crazy, unprecedented environment with a pandemic that doesn't seem to end, a chip shortage that's causing vehicle shortage, gas shortage, and so much more. But we're here today to work through this together, right? To collaborate, find solutions, and keep moving forward, because that's what we all want, right? We're going to keep moving forward. Many of you have probably worked with Enterprise in your local markets for your rental needs. And for this, I want to say to you, thank you for your business. We greatly appreciate the partnerships. And some of you may be wondering, what the heck qualifies me and our team to give you advice today in this subject? Well, some of you may not know that Enterprise owns and currently operates a fleet of 1.7 million vehicles across the world. And our branch employees successfully manage and operate their own little micro fleets of vehicles every single day. And this includes things like everything from fuel and maintenance and cleaning and sanitizing now to anticipating customer demand and moving vehicles to meet those needs. And they do that on a day-to-day basis. It's called fleet logistics. So with our employees' experience, industry expertise, and knowledge, we think no one is better prepared than Enterprise to logistically manage fleets. And you know what? We have been doing this for a very long time. We've been doing this for over 60 years since the Taylor family started this business, actually back in '57 in a Cadillac dealership here in St. Louis. I'm also thrilled to have two awesome guys join me today from our team. Scott Sampley, he's one of our vice presidents, Phil DeSarno, assistant vice president, and these awesome guys are joining me to help answer any questions that you may have throughout this presentation. So if you could, please use the chat function, load up your questions, and at the end of our session, we're going to answer everything we possibly can for you, okay? And with that said, let's get going. I want to start by looking at customer expectations and the role they play in your overall dealership costs. What are your customers looking for when they bring their vehicle in to be serviced? Customer expectations, I think you all agree, now more than ever are changing rapidly, and they're going to play a key role in the dealer's overall costs. But beyond the great quality service you provide and affordable prices, it's no question that your customers are in search of a positive, seamless, frictionless experience. And this experience includes access to alternative transportation options. No one wants to spend an entire day at a dealership waiting for their vehicle to be serviced. However, no doubt your dealerships are fabulous and beautiful, but people want to get on with their day and keep moving. So the vehicles you service now also are likely very different from what was manufactured just a few years ago. We have some industry research that indicates in 2019, the average time for servicing a vehicle with advanced technology was 13% higher than that of a non-advanced vehicle. So I think we recognize times are changing, and so are those vehicles. So many of you may seek to satisfy customer expectations for alternative transportation by utilizing a fleet of loaner cars that are sitting right there on your dealership lots. To me, Makes sense, simple, and it's just logical. But in reality, all that goes into managing that fleet behind the scenes is anything but simple and straightforward. As you've probably all likely experienced, trying to accurately track ongoing expenses of each vehicle in your loaner fleet isn't an easy task by any means. And that's especially on top of when you're trying to already manage other business priorities that you have every single day. And it's not just about direct costs. Regardless of the vehicle's make or model, total cost of ownership, we call it TCO, is influenced by a lot of different factors, including standard fixed expenses, general operating expenses, incidental costs, lost opportunity costs during maintenance and downtime, as well as depreciation and resale value. And there's absolutely far more than just that. And while some of the vehicle's fixed costs are more easily measured, there are a lot of variables like fuel and maintenance that are just not as simple to predict or track. And there's more beyond that. My friend Scott Sampley calls it cost creep, and he'll explain a little bit more about that as we move on. All right, so it's no secret there are costs associated with your loaner program. You all know that. But what does that look like for the long run? When you take time to do an analysis, a detailed analysis, and add up all the expenses on a monthly or a yearly basis across your entire loaner fleet, what's the real total cost of your dealership? So let's run the simple dealer assumption that's on your screen in front of you. Here we have a dealership with a loaner fleet of about 50 vehicles, each priced at approximately $28,000, with a low or average utilization of 56% utilization rate. Each month, this dealer is spending on average about $980 on a single car in their loaner fleet, with costs ranging from taxes, registration, insurance, maintenance, fuel, cleaning, and uncollected damages. In total, $49,000 a month to operate this 50 vehicle loaner fleet, for a grand total of nearly $600,000 per year. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I want to talk with you now. We have established the costs, and you know there's huge costs to loaners. But no doubt but there are certain tools you can use that will help to ensure you can identify and implement opportunities for improvement. Utilization is a big one for us. Call it the big U. Utilization is a critical metric that we use at Enterprise to measure and manage the health of our business and per vehicle profitability. It's really important for us when we're making business decisions around forecasting and fleet planning. And that's not just at a national level, it's really at a local level and on a daily basis. So take a second and think back to the previous scenario we just talked about. With a utilization rate of 56%, 56%, right-sizing your vehicle could greatly impact your monthly loaner fleet costs, saving money and funneling underutilized fleet vehicles directly into your used car inventory, where it absolutely matters most. And with today's supply chain issues and the used car market more competitive than I've ever seen, you don't need me to tell you how important having availability in your inventory is. So engaging with a consultant or a fleet expert like Enterprise can allow you to develop a sustainable long-term partnership to maximize your alternative transportation value, not just during these difficult times, but for years to come, for years ahead. All right, so we've identified opportunities with your loaner fleet. But what can you do to increase utilization and maximize that cost savings? So one of the solutions to think about is to employ a virtual fleet strategy. So you can take advantage of identified cost savings and opportunities, gain the ability to adjust fleet capacity up or down as needed. That flexibility is so critical. So again, let's return back to our dealer example. Let's continue assuming your dealership maintains 50 vehicles at 56% utilization rate. That utilization rate would require only 850 rental days per month from an outside organization, totaling about $34,000 a month, $15,000 monthly savings from that loaner fleet, and a massive $180,000 per year savings. And needless to say, a major impact to your bottom line. We've talked about costs. And again, we're not telling you anything you don't already know. But we also recognize these savings might not be taking into account the benefits you see in maintaining your own loaner fleet. Things like incentives, convenience in accessing vehicles already on your dealership lot, and your desire to put customers in like-kind vehicles. We understand that and we totally respect that. Employing a virtual fleet strategy comes with non-cost related benefits as well, from reduced challenges and inefficiencies to improved customer satisfaction and retention, and ultimately helping you keep your customers satisfied and ease your daily load. So first, you'll see service scheduling improvements with the ability to fleet up and fleet down as needed. It's no longer necessary to schedule appointments just around your loaner vehicle availability. Second, instead of spending time trying to manage every aspect of operating a large loaner fleet while also handling a million other job responsibilities, you're going to be able to increase your focus on service and sales, which is something that matters most. And as we discussed, you'll free up your loaner fleet and you'll satisfy your used inventory needs as well. Last but not least, and certainly important, you'll see decreases in dealership liability. That's a big one. But it's not one size fits all. We're not trying to put everybody into a box. You've got to figure out what works for your dealer because you're all unique. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There are ways you can realize some of these benefits without entirely eliminating your loaner fleet. The first step is to tighten up your loaner fleet, increase that important metric, utilization, as we've discussed earlier. But what about when you get a large influx of customers? What happens then? In instances where the number of loaner vehicles you have no longer meet customer needs, you just need to rely on an alternative transportation provider like Enterprise to fleet up or fleet down as needed. Again, that flexibility is critical for your overall business. Maybe you've all experienced, and I'm sure we have, a product recall whereby a flood of vehicles needed to be serviced in a short period of time, and the customer demand for loaner vehicles was off the charts. During these peak service periods, a virtual fleet strategy, an overflow solution really can help you make ends meet and maintain high utilization rate in the non-peak periods. That utilization rate is what's critical. The big U. I think we're going to make t-shirts out of that. We live by it. So at Enterprise, and no different than all of your businesses, exceptional customer service is paramount to our success. And we understand there are benefits to having a car on your lot when and where you need it. We get that. But that shouldn't deter you from considering alternative transportation solutions to help meet those customer needs. In fact, this is one of the reasons we continue to invest in a variety of technology solutions to address the obstacles that you face with an alternative transportation program at your dealership. An example, our ARMS dealership program. It allows the dealership to electronically schedule transportation for customers in advance of the service appointment, minimizing wait time, and most importantly, helping fulfill a specific vehicle request. And this is so critically important, especially in the times we're operating today. At Enterprise, we also have a launch pad, a tablet technology that creates that frictionless, extremely transparent experience for your customers by allowing employees to meet your customers where they want to be met. And I promise you, it's not at a rental counter. So innovating to make the process more streamlined is crucial in ensuring customer satisfaction and continuing to raise the bar on customer satisfaction. And so we will continue to invest in these solutions to help make it easier for you to take advantage of the benefits of a virtual fleet. In terms of investments in technology and innovation, in this particular area, we're just getting started. There's so much more to come. All right, so I want to circle back on the like, make, model fill rate, as we realize this is often very, very important and can be a sticking point sometimes for us. So, through the ARMS dealership platform, we can improve the rate of which those specific makes and models requests are fulfilled. Again, advanced notification, advanced reservation will allow us to make sure we have the right vehicle at the right time in the right place. We have data that shows today that 76% of dealership service customers say they make their service appointments in advance. And what we're suggesting is we want you to leverage this scheduling tool for a streamlined, frictionless appointment process and at no cost in your dealership. Think if all of you need help determining the right mix of rental and fleet, let one of our local enterprise employees put their fleet management skills to work for you to identify what works and what might not work for your dealership. Everyone is different, as I mentioned. We can help conduct a cost analysis, determine how your dealership can get the most out of your loaner fleet and at the best price. We have on the call today, we have many of our enterprise folks from local markets on the phone. But if you're not familiar with them, just visit enterprise.com and we'll connect you with the right person in your marketplace to help you with that cost analysis. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Scott Sampley and let's chat a little bit more about some of this and some questions that have come in.
Yeah, thanks, Mary, and good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I want to echo Mary's statement. We appreciate the many partnerships we have out there, and we just trying to get a little better today than we were yesterday. So thanks for working with us. Jason had a great question in the chat, and the question really was around a 56% utilization. What does that do? How do I calculate my rent space? The rent I would charge myself, or how does that look as far as brick and mortar space? And great question, and something that everybody looks at a little bit differently. And the reality of the starting space from this really is to understand, that every space in your dealership, obviously, you're trying to turn into a revenue producing space. So what does 56% mean? And we'll look at it from the perspective of, well, that means on average you probably have 20, 25 cars just sitting there taking up space. And during the peak return hours or days, which are probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you might be up to 35 or 40 cars. So, what does that do to your display space during, peak selling days, like Saturday and Sunday and weekends in general? What does that do for your, customer parking or employee parking? How does that factor into that? What does it do for your car wash? As you're trying to keep those cars clean, even if you wash them on Thursday and Friday, you might need to rewash them on Monday. So I think, to answer your question, Jason, you want to take that all into account and really understand, how compact you can get that so you can utilize that space as revenue producing, but be fair to yourself based on your lease and what you're paying and what that square footage is really costing you. So that's generally the guidance we normally give in that sense. And then, I thought I'd throw a couple of questions. I had a couple of folks that I think are on this call today that threw me a couple of questions ahead of time that they were interested in. And I thought, I'd share a couple with you. First of all, my cost is really my lease payment or my flooring cost, and pretty structured program, and everything else I kind of pay for elsewhere in my dealership. How do I figure out where that is and what that is? And I would say, first of all, that's a common question we get, by the way. But I think you would be shocked to learn what gets spent and is hidden elsewhere in your P&L that other departments absorb and quietly add to your break even. And they're doing it for all the right reasons. We do it. We have a similar situation here where we're trying to do it in the interest of customer service or process or what have you. But that's why taking a deep dive regularly into this is such a payoff for you. and getting someone that can help you look for it, but not only look for it, but know exactly where to look, becomes an important process of making sure that things don't go into the wrong place. And that's where you heard Mary mention it earlier, cost creep. We like to use that word. You know, what comes from that is, what's the biggest surprise? I think that's a question that people ask is, or we'll ask people, what was the biggest surprise when she kind of looked at this? And the answer is always that cost creep. Free gas, undocumented damages, toll roads, parking tickets, ride shares bills that are larger than we ever thought they would be, and how it creeps back into your business, even though again, you're trying to do the right thing. But at the end of it adds up so quickly. We're in a business where, on our side, we know part of fleet management is finding where every dollar counts. So that becomes a big thing. And then the third question that I got that was kind of interesting is, where do you see my biggest opportunity? And I can tell you across the board, after talking with a lot of different RO partners and doing more of a deep dive and a comprehensive look at their program, I would say paying attention to the kind of cars that are placed in loaner service and the volume, maybe just playing too many. Um, they can offset additional carrying costs, maintenance costs, even wreak havoc on your used car inventory when too many of the same car, no matter what the equipment, end up on your lot at the same time. And that seems to be one of the key findings when we sit down and work with our partners on the possibility and or opportunity to save a few dollars on that. So Mary, maybe I'll turn it back over to you, but those are some of the key questions we get. Jason, thanks for your question there, and we'd love to be able to dive in deeper if you'd like some help.
No, thanks, Sampley. Phil, do you have any thoughts to any of this? One of our experts.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have a question come in that was texted to me about the benefits of the virtual fleet, and one of the things that really pops up to me is the ability to say yes at the service desk. And that's one of the reasons Enterprise has been so successful over the years, the ability to say yes to reservations. When you have a virtual fleet and you are partnering with another rental company such as Enterprise, that gives you the ability to say yes, to increase your ROs, which increases the profitability at your dealership. It also increases the service levels at your dealership. And I think when you can employ a virtual fleet program and partner with a company like Enterprise, I think those benefits continue to rise. But the ability to say yes is one of those things that's really going to help your dealership down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. One of the other things that somebody asked me about, we're feeling it in our own rental fleet today, is that the consumer demand has changed for the size of the vehicle. And consumers no longer want small cars. They just don't. And as you know better than us, the production of small cars is very, very limited and going away. And so a high percentage of what people are buying now are SUVs and crossovers, which is a much more expensive car. If you maintain that size car in your loaner fleet, you're really increasing the cost of your fleet. And that has happened to us in rental, where we can only buy what's being produced, and we ended up, our acquisition costs continue to rise because all that's available to buy are SUVs, and we mirror SUVs, crossovers, larger trucks, and we mirror the driving public. But the point is if you maintain those types of vehicles in your loaner fleet, that also will just raise the cost of your overall fleet, as it has with ours. And I can't see the chat, so Scott or Phil.
Yeah, I think we've answered all the questions in the chat, and those that were submitted to us outside of chat too. So unless anyone else has anything they'd like to add, we'd love to answer them. If not, we'll turn it back over to you, Mary.
Yeah, we would. There's so much more here to chat about. And I said, in very difficult times that we're all operating in, but I think we can collaborate, we can find solutions together and keep moving forward. I said, if you don't know the right local person to sit down with you and go through a deep analysis, then visit enterprise.com and we'll connect you with someone pretty quickly to help you do that, and we'll move forward together. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for your business, and stay safe out there.
Mary, Scott, Phil, thanks so much for speaking with us today. We really appreciate you guys and our 20-year partnership with Enterprise. To those on the line, join us back here tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, Wednesday, May 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern, as Google discusses their newly launched Dealer Guidebook 2.5. For more information about AIADA, visit aiada.org. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.